I'm going to turn off my fan, even though it feels really good. There's a breeze. All right, that's a neck fan. Lovely thing, bladeless fan. Keeps the gnats away, but there are no gnats here, which is heavenly. This is my palette saver palette. It already has some paint in it from a painting I did last night. So I slide it out, put that down. It comes with this panel. See, there's a lip on the back. And I just slide this out, slip it on. I'm plein air painting today. I'm looking at some geraniums, and I normally have my paint, oops, wrong side. That side had tape on it. I normally have my painting on an easel, but my easel is down the mountain, and I don't want to go get it again. So I am going to paint in my lap. So this may or may not be a success. It might end up with paint all over me, but that's okay. You got to adapt to where you are. So I'm just gonna go for it. Pick up a brush. Ooh, that's pretty stiff. I don't want to use much mineral spirits, but I'll add a little bit because it's a little dried out. It was left out overnight outside, and I'm in Alabama. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to draw with my paintbrush just a little bit, the geraniums. I think I'm going to just enlarge that pot. Do I want to do it so large that it runs off the page, or do I want to include the whole thing and just have the whole setting? I'm going to go off the page just because it's different. So I'm going to do that pot off the page. I'm actually going to lower it. I'll just wipe that off. There's the bottom. That's going to be the top. I'm just kind of blocking in where the dark is in the pot. I had an art retreat up in Dadeville, Alabama. That's where we are. Hosts are Dorothy and George Littleton. It's an awesome place. And didn't do an underpainting on this. I'm just going for it. Having fun. Smooth ampersand panel. Oops, see there's a little decoration on that, and I missed it. Wasn't paying attention. Can't imagine that, me not paying attention. It happens. It'll happen to y'all too. Okay. I squint my eyes. That is not the darkest dark, so I want to make sure that I don't make it the darkest dark. What's in the pot is actually darker. But I'm working very dry. So when it's very dry, I can layer. I really learned that from Albert Handel. Way to go, Albert. Okay. I just cleaned out my brush with mineral spirits. I want to lighten this edge up because it's in the sun. kind of lifted that off. Kind of a dirty terracotta look because it's in the shade. And it's a soft blur transition from the shadow to where the sun is. It's really bright, so it's a lot more yellow. And whoops, I again missed that little decoration. I might not put it in there. I keep missing it. Two of my friends and students painting behind me, and they're painting something in another direction. So we're just having an awesome time here. Enjoying, yeah, see? Hear them? Such fun. The weather, oh my word, I cannot be so excited about the weather. Who would have thought June in Alabama would be enjoyable? Well, we'd make it enjoyable because we're just fun people, but it's true. But I just expected a lot worse. So we were pleasantly surprised, and I think George and Dorothy were kind of pleasantly surprised too. It just turned very pleasant. So yeah, I needed to lighten that up. It was way too dark. So coming back with some yellow to warm that shadow area up. There's some reflected light over here, and kind of goes into that. Working with the oils is a push and pull, and right now I'm pushing some of this dark in where the light is. I'm going to wipe my brush and push some of the light back into the dark. I don't want to push too hard because it's a very slick panel and might lift it up. I'm getting yellow ochre and just kind of filling in down here, making it more solid. And more in the shadows. Just kind of scrubbing with my brush. This part of the shadow that's way too dark, so light over dark for oils and fat over lean for oils. So the more layers you put, the thicker and juicier your paints need to be in order to stick, unless the paint's dry. Well, even if the paint's dry, it should be juicier paints on top of drier, less oil paint. That might not have made sense, but we'll deal with that later. Okay, I'm squinting at the base, or at that pot, and there's a little dark area here. It's kind of mottled, what you call it. So I'm just scumbling some texture in, wiping my brush again, not adding any mineral spirits or medium. And I want to add some orange, just little bits of light filtering through onto that terracotta. That's a little too much contrast, so I'm going to come back with the yellow and mix right on top of that to soften that. Oh, I hope you can hear the birds. It's such a beautiful day. Wow. So blessed. The one thing I do want to do is kind of check the symmetry of the pot. I think I just hit the... Make sure it's bending the same. That's close enough. Again, this is really dry paint. I've had it on this palette for quite a while. Okay, bad thing that I did, and I didn't really pay attention. Look at where I placed the pot. Smack in the center. I didn't think that through very well. Oops. So how am I going to fix that? Because your painting should not be smack in the center. It's not as good a composition. But, oh well. It's a study. That's the joy of plein airing. You learn from what you do, and you're always... even when I mess up, I'm learning. So I'm okay with that. You should be too. Okay, now I think I want to establish some of the background just to mute it out a little bit. So it's like, what do I want to do? Do I want it dark? I think I want it. No, never mind. I'm going to paint the flowers first, and then I'll decide that. Because I might want it dark, where this really pushes it forward. So, and I have, what was that? Phthalo yellow-green. So I'm going to put in, oh, never mind. I'm going to start with the darks. I need to mix a green. That's ultramarine blue. Cad yellow, and I'm going to mix some of the undertones, the darker greens. I'm just kind of dabbing around where they are. Some of them overlap the lip, some of them don't, but that's okay. I'm going to let the flowers lean more to the left. They don't in real life. They're kind of straight up. But I want to shift the weight of the painting, and more left. The flowers, most of the flowers stick up above the floral, and when I squint, I don't really see anything through the leaves because they're thick. So I'm going to be filling in the white that I see with other colors of leaves. And the leaves are all ripply, so just do a little squiggle and that helps. So now I'm going to pick up a lighter green, and I'm going to add some more squiggles. Y'all love that? Very formal way to paint a flower. I mean, leaf. It's a very, very official term. Yeah. So again, I'm looking at some of the other geraniums that are around, and there's one that has a clump of flowers coming off. So even though that might lead your eye off the canvas, I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. And this is it's a very, oh, that's too straight out. So I want a little bit of yellow added, and you can see how thick it is on my brush. It's just kind of fun because when you have the thick, you can just put it right on top of the thin, and I'm kind of filling in where the darks were not. Y'all can talk, it's all right. All right, so now I've kind of shifted the weight that way. Okay, I'm going to put the flowers that are in the bright sunlight as just straight cad red. And I'm going to put a little bit of that over here. I'll come back and add shadows under that later. I'm trying not to pick up any green in my brush, but there's little bits of red sneaking through. and on the other side. So if I think I hit the green, I'll stop and wipe my brush. But there, I like some of the taller blossoms sticking up, and we'll do the stems later. I'm just looking at the shapes, just laying down my brush. And again, this is just straight cad red right now. And they can just kind of be a blob. It's all right. I want that one a little fuller because there's two overlapping. So make that bigger, a little more scraggly on this side. And again, I haven't done anything in the background. So whatever I do here, I'm going to have to paint around. And sometimes that's a pain, but that's okay. What am I here for? To enjoy the day. And the breeze is nice. The birds are singing. You hear the insects. Okay, that's all right. So I wipe my brush. I'm looking at the structure of the stems. And I'm just barely touching to create that stem going up. Oh, that breeze is so heavenly. Wow. Touching, and then they split at the top. So I'm just turning the angle of my brush. And this might have to be repainted. Oops, I picked up red. So I carried that over into that branch, and I can paint over it later. Y'all are awesome. Nice painting. You need to take a picture of that. You don't have to take the tape off. Just leave it the way it is because it's on natural. Unless you so authentic. Hold it, and I'll get you with your tree behind you. I'm so bossy. Listen. Well, I think you'll really be happy that you documented your first painting. Your first plein air. Is that good? True plein air. Okay. Do that again. That's a pretty smile. There. I want a copy of that. You might have gotten pastel on your phone. I'm sorry. Okay, I decided to go more neutral for the background because I just like the flowers to kind of sing. So I'm just mixing a color that's has a combination of what's on my palette plus white. Oop, bumped. And because it's in the background and I'm painting flat, I can actually paint around this. Need it lighter. Paint toward the leaves, lift up. Just are those birds. Ooh, picked up some paint there. This is mostly mineral spirits, so doing it really thin. And I'll come back when this dries and, oops, sorry, hit some of that red again if I need to. And I will have some of that in the background, that's okay.
Do you remember using it out there? I wonder if it's inside. Take it out of the box.
Yeah.
Put my head down. The place I hit started hurting.
Oh no, it's
The
robbed.
blood flow.
Because you've
Yeah.
got a bruise there probably, and the blood was running. Well, how is your forehead today? I forgot to ask.
Good. I didn't thought about it till I leaned over.
Oh, well then that's good.
And that breeze feels so nice.